What is going on, you guys? Today we are doing another recap, and the first episode of The 100 opens in a starkly altered world almost a century after a devastating nuclear apocalypse eradicated all life on Earth, leaving the planet filled with lethal radiation. At the time of this cataclysm, only 12 nations possessed functional space stations, and in a bid for survival, these nations unified their stations into a single massive structure known as the Ark, merging their resources and populations. With Earth predicted to be uninhabitable for another 100 years, the Ark represents humanity's last refuge. However, life on the Ark is very challenging. Resources are severely limited, forcing the imposition of strict rules, including a one-child policy. The Ark's governance is uncompromising, with a lot of capital punishment for all crimes irrespective of their severity, with a sole exception for minors. In this harsh environment, we see Clark, a rebellious teenager confined to the Skybox, essentially a prison for juvenile delinquents on the Ark. Clark's mother Abby visits with startling news. The Ark is dispatching 100 juvenile offenders to Earth. This is a desperate experiment to know if the planet has recovered enough to support human life. Clark is then forcibly sedated by a guard while in her mom's embrace, an emotional moment symbolizing her forced departure from the only life that she's ever known. Clark regains consciousness aboard a spacecraft headed toward Earth. She, along with other juvenile offenders, are bound for a planet that they've never seen, wearing tracking bracelets that they had initially refused to wear. Clark then finds herself next to Wells, her friend and the son of the Chancellor Thelonious. Unlike the others, Wells was not imprisoned but deliberately got himself arrested to accompany Clark. Chancellor Thelonious, via a recording message, informs the group that their survival on Earth would lead to the absolution of their crimes. He directs them to target Mount Weather, a military storage facility with supplies meant to sustain 300 people for 2 years, presenting it as their primary mission. However, the journey to Earth was not without danger. Some of the teens unbuckle their seatbelts, only to be violently thrown against the walls as the spacecraft enters Earth's atmosphere. This chaotic descent severs most of their communication links with the Ark, leaving only their bracelet trackers functional. Amidst the turmoil, Wells seizes a moment to express his remorse to Clark for his role in her father's execution, a confession met with Clark's strong resentment. The story continues as their spacecraft makes its long-anticipated landing on Earth. For the very first time in a century, human eyes gaze upon the lush wilderness of the planet. Among the young offenders, we meet the Blakes, Octavia, and her protective brother, Bellamy. Octavia's existence itself was a defiance of the Ark's one-child laws, leading to her mother's execution and her own imprisonment. Bellamy, driven by his brotherly devotion, has followed her to ensure her safety. As Bellamy manually opens the ship's door, the occupants are momentarily blinded by the intense sunlight. Octavia, reveling in her newfound freedom, is the first to step out, inhaling the crisp, unpolluted air of Earth. While the others excitedly disembark, Clark, ever observant, realizes that they've landed far from their intended destination, Mount Weather. Back on the Ark, there is a mix of relief and concern. Reports indicate that 2 of the 100 perished during the descent, but the rest appear to be alive and well. However, not all is harmonious among the newly landed group. Wells, the son of the Chancellor, faces hostility from his peers who resent the actions of his father back on the Ark. Ignoring the tension, Clark, Octavia, and the 3 others, Finn, Jasper, and Monty, decide to embark on a journey to Mount Weather, leaving the rest behind. Their journey is not without its surreal moments though, as they encounter 2-headed deers, a striking testament to the mutated life forms that now have emerged in this post-apocalyptic world. Meanwhile, back on the Ark, a shocking development unfolds. The Chancellor has been shot. The perpetrator is none other than Bellamy, acting in the moments before he boarded the spacecraft. Abby, Clark's mom and a skilled doctor, breaks protocol by using an excessive amount of anesthesia to save the Chancellor's life. Marcus, next in line for leadership, is presumed to make swift decisions regarding the Ark's strict laws, but is more concerned with uncovering Bellamy's accomplice. In a twist of fate, Bellamy, now on Earth, persuades another delinquent, John, to remove their tracking bracelets. He hopes that this will trick the Ark's leadership into believing that they've died, deterring any rescue missions and reinforcing the belief that Earth remains uninhabitable. Amidst these events, Clark confronts her companions with a grim revelation. The Ark is dying, with only a few months of life support remaining. The truth was discovered by her father, whose attempt to disclose it led to his execution. Clark's disclosure of her father's fate and Wells' unwitting role in it adds layers of complexity to their relationship. The first night on Earth for the 100 unfolds with a sense of newfound freedom mixed with rebellion. Under the starlit sky, Bellamy and John lead a movement, convincing their peers to remove their tracking bracelets. This act symbolizes their rejection of the Ark's authority and a step toward embracing their independence on Earth. Wells, ever the voice of reason, confronts Bellamy, pointing out the complications of their actions. The Ark might presume them dead and decide against sending help. Bellamy argues fiercely, and his views on the Ark's leadership, particularly of the Chancellor, as responsible for harsh laws that led to the death of his mother for the crime of having a second child, was one of his main concerns. Bellamy's conviction was clear. On Earth, they're as free from the Ark's oppressive rules as they can be, and they can carve out their own destiny. Their intense discussion is interrupted by the sudden onset of rain, a phenomenon none of them have experienced before. Wells sees peculiarity in this and suggests collecting rainwater, and Bellamy, maintaining his defiant stance, declares that everyone is free to do as they please. This moment of rain sparks a spontaneous celebration amongst the 100, who dance joyfully, reveling in the novelty and beauty of rain. Meanwhile, back on the Ark, the situation grows increasingly tense, and the monitors show more signals from the 100's bracelet going offline, raising alarms. Marcus, driven by a rigid sense of duty, confronts Abby for her unauthorized use of medical supplies to save the Chancellor. Abby, unapologetic, admits to her actions, arguing that they were necessary to prevent Marcus from assuming total control. Their exchange is charged with past grievances, including Marcus's role in the execution of Abby's husband and the charges against Clark. Despite Abby's pleas, Marcus remains unwavering, sentencing her to death while confessing his readiness to do anything for humanity's survival. Abby retorts, emphasizing the importance of humanity's moral compass in its struggle for survival, and as Abby is confined to the skybox, the same prison where Clark was held, she is surrounded by her daughter's sketches, a reminder of the personal costs of their survival strategies. Back on Earth, Clark awakens amidst the serene beauty of a forest, illuminated by bioluminescent flora. She and Finn venture to a nearby river, where Clark's discovery of a mysterious bipedal footprint deepens the mystery of this new Earth, challenging her knowledge and expectations of a post-apocalyptic world. The episode's emotional depth is further enhanced by a visit from Cece, Marcus's wife, and Abby's best friend, to Marcus's quarters. She pleads for Abby's life, highlighting the personal toll of their decision. Marcus, however, remains steadfast, justifying his actions as necessary sacrifices for the greater good. His refusal to show mercy underscores the harsh reality of life on the Ark, where survival often comes at the expense of compassion and humanity. In the dead of night, a tense scene unfolds as Bellamy awakens Wells, the Chancellor's son, holding him at gunpoint in a startling display of authority. Bellamy's intention is clear, as he wants to create the illusion that Wells has been eliminated, reinforcing his influence over the 100. Bellamy confronts Wells about his banishment from the Ark, questioning his loyalty and motives. In a bid for control, Bellamy urges Wells to remove his tracking bracelet, an act symbolizing freedom and defiance against the Ark. Wells, however, stands firm in his refusal, embodying a sense of duty and connection to his past life. Frustrated by Wells, Bellamy signals to John and his group, who forcibly remove Wells' bracelet despite his resistance, highlighting the growing divisions and power struggles amongst the 100. Meanwhile, on the Ark, Abby finds herself in an emotional moment of reflection, gazing toward Earth through a portal. Her solitude is abruptly interrupted by guards, signaling her impending execution. A very heartfelt and somber farewell with her friend Cece is cut short as they are separated. Resigned to her fate, Abby steps into the airlock, but not before instructing Jackson to work on a critical task: reverse engineering the wristbands to establish connection with Earth. The airlock door begins to close, sealing her fate, but in a dramatic turn of events, the Chancellor enters, granting Abby a last-minute rescue. He promises to deal with Marcus's actions later, and Abby steps out of the airlock, immediately focused on the Chancellor's welfare, demonstrating her unwavering commitment to her duties as a doctor. Back on Earth, the morning brings a new challenge for the 100. Finn prepares to cross a pond, hindered by a wide gap and the lurking threat of the creatures inside of it. Jasper, eager to impress Octavia and prove his courage, volunteers to take Finn's place. The group watches with bated breath as Jasper successfully swings across the pond, earning their cheers and admiration. His moment of triumph, however, is short-lived, as he discovers a sign pointing to Mount Weather, and their hope for a safe haven is shattered by a sudden and brutal attack. A spear, hurled with deadly accuracy, impales Jasper, pinning him against a tree. This shocking act of violence from an unseen assailant throws the group into frenzy. They quickly take cover, and as the episode concludes, Clark and the others are left with the harrowing realization that they are not alone on Earth.